Hello everyone. This video will show how to determine if a given table of values is an odd function, an even function, or neither. Now we remember that when f of x is equal to f of negative x, then the function f is called an even function. On the other hand, when f of negative x is equal to negative f of x, then the function f is called an odd function. Now let's go over some examples. This given example that we have right here is an example of an even function. We remember that a given table of values is an even function if the values for the positive and the negative inputs have the same output. Now look at the table very carefully. So if we take the positive 3 and the negative 3, their inputs are the same, which is 9. Now if we take negative 2 and positive 2 inputs, their outputs are the same, which is 4. Further, if we have a negative 1 and a positive 1 inputs, their values are also the same, which is 1. So that is one way to determine if a given table of values is an even function. This happens only if the values for the positive and the negative inputs have the same output. We can also check this using algebra. We remember that a function is even if f of x is equal to f of negative x. Now let's look at this table that we have up here. So if we take f of 3, which is our f of x, the positive x, so that is f of 3, the value for this is 9. And if we take f of negative 3, the value for this is also 9. So if you notice, f of x and the f of negative x are equal, which is a value of 9. And that is the definition of an even function. Now let's try another one here. So if I have f of positive 2, the value for this is 4. Now if I have f of negative 2, the value for that is also 4. Again, notice that the f of x is equal to the f of negative x. So then this shows further that this given table of values is an even function. Now let's have another example. This given example that we have right here is an example of an odd function. We remember that a given table of values is an odd function if the values for positive and negative inputs have opposite outputs. Now let's examine this table of values that we have right here. So if the inputs would be positive 3 and negative 3, notice that their values are opposite, positive 27 and negative 27. And if we look at positive 2 and negative 2, their outputs are opposite, positive 8 and negative 8. The same thing with positive 1 and negative 1. Their outputs are opposite. So this is one of the properties of an odd function. Now let's look at this algebraically. We remember that a function is an odd function if f of negative x is equal to negative f of x. Now let's show this algebraically. So if I take f of negative 3, so that would be f of negative 3, the value for this is negative 27. Now if I take the negative of f of 3, so that's the negative of f of 3, this means that's the negative of f of 3, which is 27. So that's the negative of f of 3. So that's negative of 27. The value for this is negative 27. Now notice that their values are equal. This shows that f of negative x is equal to the negative f of x. Now let's try f of negative 2. So if I take f of negative 2, the value for this is negative 8. And if we take the negative of f of positive 2, so that would mean the negative of f of 2 is 8. So the negative of 8 is a negative 8. Again, they are both equal. This shows us that f of negative x is actually equal to negative f of x. So that is the algebraic way of showing that this table of values that we have here is an example of an odd function. Now let's have another example. So we're going to check if this function is even. Again, a given table of values is an even function if the values for the positive and the negative inputs have the same output. Now looking at this, we have a positive 3 and a negative 3. Their inputs are not the same, so this is not even. On the other hand, if we test if it's odd, a given table of values is an odd function if the values for positive and the negative inputs have opposite outputs. So looking at this, negative 3 and positive 3, their values are not opposite. The other one is negative 5 and the other one is 10. So we can go ahead and say that this function is neither odd nor even function. Now let's have another example. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, let's go over this problem. If you did it right, these should be the answers. Did you get the same answers as these? Good, perfect. So that is how we determine if a given table of values is an odd function, even function, or neither.